Within the bloody pages of Tudor history, one execution stands out for its brutality and injustice. Today, we recount the tragic story of Lady Margaret Pole, beheaded by Henry VIII's order in 1541. Lady Margaret Pole was born in August 1473, the daughter of George, Duke of Clarence, who was third in line to the throne as the brother of Edward IV. Her early life was marked by the precarious nature of royal politics. Tragedy struck when Margaret was just 4 years old, as her father met a grisly end in the Tower of London, allegedly executed by being drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine after being accused of plotting against his brother, the king. In 1483, just before Margaret's 10th birthday, a pivotal and tumultuous event shook the foundations of the English monarchy. Her uncle, Richard III, seized the throne in a bold and ruthless move, declaring his nephews, Edward V and Richard, Duke of York, illegitimate. Richard III legitimized his claim to the crown. The two young princes subsequently vanished from the Tower of London under mysterious circumstances. In a further attempt to consolidate his power, Richard III also sought to disinherit Margaret and her younger brother, Edward, Earl of Warwick, citing their father's treason as grounds for barring them from succession. However, this move was arguably a miscalculation, as the disappearance of the princes actually strengthened Margaret's claim to the throne, making her and her brother potential contenders in the absence of the rightful heirs. This complex web of power and deception would forever alter the course of Margaret's life. With the accession of Henry Tudor, who became Henry VII, Margaret's dynastic importance grew significantly. Henry's own claim to the throne was tenuous at best, which put Margaret and her brother Edward in a precarious position. They had a stronger claim to the throne than the king himself. This perceived threat was enough for Henry VII to take drastic action. Edward was imprisoned in the Tower and eventually executed. As for Margaret, Henry VII arranged a strategic marriage for her at the age of 14 to Sir Richard Pole, a loyal supporter and cousin of the king. This union was likely intended to diminish Margaret's status, as Pole was of considerably lower social standing than the Plantagenet princess. Despite this, the marriage produced 5 children: Henry, Arthur, Ursula, Reginald, and Geoffrey. Through this marriage, Margaret's royal bloodline was passed down to her children, who would go on to play significant roles in English history. In 1501, Margaret's royal service commenced when Henry VII appointed her to the household of Catherine of Aragon, upon her marriage to Prince Arthur, the king's eldest son and heir. A strong bond developed between Margaret and Catherine, but their friendship was disrupted when Arthur's untimely death in 1502 led to Catherine's reduced household, resulting in Margaret's dismissal. Following Catherine's similar struggles, Margaret faced financial hardship after her husband Richard's death in 1504, leaving her to care for their 5 children alone. The strain was so great that she was forced to give up her son Reginald to the church, relinquishing financial responsibility for him. This decision would later strain her relationship with Reginald, who bitterly recalled her decision, saying, "You never took any care to provide for my living nor otherwise, as you did for others." Margaret's fortunes took a dramatic turn for the better with the accession of Henry VIII in 1509. Upon his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, Margaret was appointed to the Queen's household, a testament to their enduring friendship. In a significant gesture of recognition, Henry VIII restored Margaret's family honors, making her the Countess of Salisbury and granting her the lands that her brother Edward had held before his execution. This move was seen as a tacit acknowledgement of the injustice done to her brother, and a welcome reversal of fortunes for Margaret. As Countess of Salisbury, Margaret Pole held a unique distinction. She was the first woman in Tudor England to possess a peerage title in her own right, aside from Anne Boleyn. This title brought her extensive estates across 17 counties in England, from the south to the Midlands, and even properties in English-held Calais. Her annual income, recorded in 1538, was a staggering £2,311, approximately £1 million today, solidifying her position among the wealthiest peers of her time. As Countess of Salisbury, Margaret wielded significant influence, administering her vast estates and supporting humanist scholars. She secured advantageous marriages and prominent positions for her children at court. Her appointment as governess to Princess Mary in 1520 seemed to cement her success. However, her proximity to the throne also underscored the fragility of her position. leaving her vulnerable to the whims of the monarch. Margaret's relationship with the king soured as Henry VIII sought to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn. Margaret remained loyal to Catherine and Princess Mary, refusing to surrender Mary's jewels and plate. This defiance led to Mary's household being dissolved, and the king rejected Margaret's offer to serve Mary at her own expense. When Eustace Chapuis, the imperial ambassador, suggested placing Mary under Margaret's care, Henry VIII reacted with fury, dismissing the countess as a fool of no experience. Reginald Pole's criticism of Henry VIII's actions sparked suspicion against Margaret, despite her attempts to rebuke her son. The family's situation worsened when Geoffrey was arrested for communicating with Reginald. Margaret's son Henry was executed, and she herself was interrogated by William Fitzwilliam. Despite the pressure, Margaret defended herself with remarkable stoicism, earning Fitzwilliam's begrudging admiration for her unwavering resolve. Margaret's defiance ultimately proved futile, and she was committed to the Tower in 1539, attainted for treason. The charges against her included a plot to marry her son Reginald to Princess Mary and restore papal authority in England. Despite the king's hostility, Margaret was treated relatively well in prison, with provisions for food, clothing, and a servant, and even had her grandson Henry with her. In a shocking turn, Henry VIII ordered Margaret's execution in May 1541, just 2 months after lavishing funds on her clothing. The likely triggers were the Northern Rebellion against his church supremacy and rumors of Reginald's planned rescue attempt. Margaret Pole's execution came on 27 May 1541. Accounts of her death make difficult reading. According to one account, the axeman chased her around the block, hacking at her neck, and it took 11 blows to sever her head. This may be exaggerated, but Chapuis attested that the elderly countess had suffered at the hands of a wretched and blundering youth, who literally hacked her head and shoulders to pieces in the most pitiful manner. Her body was laid to rest in the Tower Chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. After learning of his mother's execution, Reginald Pole proudly declared himself the son of a martyr. Centuries later, Margaret was beatified by Pope Leo XIII for defending the Catholic faith. Today, she is remembered as a powerful royal woman who navigated and defied the patriarchal world of Tudor politics.